It's me. I want to tell you about a dream that I had. Uh, and typically when you have a prophetic dream, they're usually very, very small, sometimes in seconds, sometimes in a few minutes or whatever it was. It was like that this morning. Cat tried to get me up. I said no. Somehow I fell back to sleep, which is highly unusual. But apparently the Lord was trying to tell me something. Here is the dream. The dream was my husband and I were buying a house that I had lived in as a child. Now the reason why that's kind of funny, I don't actually have a home, childhood home, because we moved around. I mean, I went to 16 different schools, so I didn't have an actual home that I could go back to and go, oh, I miss it and everything. But the one always held a little bit of a cool memory for me, as probably, I don't know, it's like 9, 10 years old, something like that. So anyways, in this dream, we actually were able to buy this house. And what is interesting about the dream, which is how a lot of times prophetic dreams act, was that I was only inside of it. I was not outside of it, looking at it, which is going to matter in a minute. I was inside and everything seemed so familiar, but not. I know, how weird, right? This wall was different, the basement was different, but it was so familiar at the exact same time. And so the previous owners are still getting some things out and moving out, and they're very sweet. It was a nice couple. And also a pastor was there, sitting in a chair, just kind of just watching everything. I don't know why. Anyway, sorry for the light. And as it went on and went on, it was not a bad dream. It was a teaching dream. And so what ended up happening, after all the familiarity and the love I felt, and that we were going to have this house, but it said that it was on a different street and in a different area of the country than where this familiar home actually is, even though that's how it was supposed to feel to me in my dream. So here is what that means. I've been going through this kind of little journey. I hate using that word sometimes, but it was, or is. And I was being very distracted by some things, by a ministry that I love and still love. I know I haven't left it or anything. But what happens sometimes with us as human people is that we see this thing in front of your face instead of this thing going like, hey, remember me? Remember me? Remember what you loved? Remember the message, the clean, crisp message. Don't you remember that? And after I saw Gabe preaching at the Acts 6:4 conference is when I had this dream. So it became quite clear what that meant. Was I was being very distracted by a lot of things changing at the ministry that I love. Some things about the COVID crisis that still is something I have to deal with as an anti-abortion activist. And I can be clear about that later. But what it was doing was keeping me from this love that I have for them and that impeccable, perfect message. And I was allowing it to push me in different directions, not necessarily get me off track in my Christian walk or listening to people that are obviously incorrect in their doctrine. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. What I have been doing, however, is listening to other ministries, because unfortunately, when you get around a bunch of people that all believe the same thing, sometimes they can get very, very I mean, being dogmatic is okay, but when you do that in certain situations, you can actually create this thing. You have to like it just this way, or you're not one of us. And it took quite a while to get that out of me, to make me feel safe in how I felt and how I know what is right and what is wrong. One of the coolest gifts that God gave me, is that I have a gift of discernment. I mean, crazy gift. I can, usually pick this stuff out of something and just that way, that fast. And I'm so thankful for that, because then I'm not swayed around and, thinking other things and, oh my goodness, that's all bright and pretty over here. No, nothing like that. But it's rounded me out as a better minister, and a better Christian, a better woman, and a better anti-abortion activist. I too am a pro-life advocate, but just because the church says they're pro-life doesn't mean they're anti-abortion. I want you to be very, very clear about what I just said. I've had to deal a lot with that ever since this COVID crisis. It really flushed everybody out, and who would, I won't get into that part. However, in the dream, I did not look on the outside, didn't see the outside of this house, which is what God wanted. He didn't want me to see that outside thing that was distracting me, keeping me from what I was supposed to be doing. He wanted me to see the inside. He wanted me to see the heart of it, and the love of it, and the truth of it. And that one of my favorite other pastors, as not part of this ministry, was sitting there, not telling me how wrong I was, or really even saying much of anything. So the nod was quite out loud. And so I know that I am on the right track, and that even after I was kind of concerned about some things, I'm going to stick with this ministry. I am in it for the long haul. I am thankful I was able to hear Pastor Gabe at the conference. The conference is an interesting thing for me, because it's all Assembly of God. A bunch of the big time AG people are there, and if you know the history of this ministry down south at all, was that they were greatly troubled and hurt by something that they loved so much. So the moral of the story, here's the thing, it's all about, and he was correct about this when I was listening to him last night, and I've always said this, sometimes as we go around the mountain, we start getting distracted by other things. We have to remember where home is and where the heart is of your first love, of the Lord Jesus Christ, and that it is about restoration. All of it. It is all about restoration and coming back to our first love, and forgiveness, and just love, and having peace and joy about it. So anyways, that's what my dream was about. I hope this helped anybody. If it didn't, whatever, I got my chance to say some stuff. And the Lord is good, and his mercy, thank you, Lord, for your mercy and your grace. Certainly none of us deserve it. And I will continue on with this wonderful ministry. As I said before that, I am excited about it now. Again, so thankful for that. Well, I have to go and hang out with my granddaughter for a couple of hours, which is pretty wonderful. So thanks for listening, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.